Okay, so now you've got a good grip, we've got to deal with the setup. The setup or address position is basically putting our body in balance so we can swing around this arc on an inclined plane. If we're out of balance, the angle of the plane is going to change. So we need to be in balance. The more in balance we are at the start, the easier it is to stay in balance, which at the end of the day, these flash words like swing plane, that's all that is keeping the club in balance. So the best way of doing that, if you imagine a line going vertically up, I'll try and use this, and take a line from the knee, sorry, the middle of the shoelace. What will happen is that line will go up, it will touch the knee, and go roughly through the armpit. What most people do is overbend the knees, so the knees are forward and the shoulders are back, or they lock the knees and bend forward, so the knees are behind and that's shoulders are over. As soon as you do that, you're bending the arc. If you're bending the arc, it's very hard to hit the club effectively or efficiently. It's a simple line. Checkpoint is line from the middle of the laces. The line touches the knee and goes through the armpit. Now, what I'm going to do here is give you a couple of exercises to get the feel of that. Now, it's important when you do this because you might have the image in your mind, but what you'll tend to do is recruit the muscles you normally use, which might not be the muscles you need to get the position right. So if you can watch yourself in a mirror as you do this and learn to get the position. A couple of drills to do it. First drill is this. You take the club and hold it across your hip joints. Now the hip joints, so if I went to put my leg on a chair, that's my hip joint. So we're putting the club here across the hip joint. We're going to pull it up into our stomach at an angle of roughly about 45 degrees. So as I do that, you'll see I tilt, my tailbone goes up, and I just counterbalance forward. My belt buckle will be at a slight angle. Then all I'm simply doing is just flexing my knees slightly. So it's just bend from here, and then flex the knees slightly. Now be careful, when you flex the knees, keep the angle in the belt line. A lot of people then just bend the knees big time and lose the shape. The whole thing is we're counterbalanced here. Some people call it like a goalkeeper, wicket keeper, but we're just getting in that position there. Another way of feeling it would be to do this. Take the club, just hold the club with your arms underneath your shoulder joints, stand up straight as you normally would, and then just lower your knuckles to about 3 inches short of your knee. Now notice you're bending from here, from the stomach, from your middle as you do that. You're not doing a monkey from up here. So it's not the joint between your shoulder blades, it's from your tailbone. It's important not to overdo that. It's just a nice, comfortable, relaxed position. Don't lock your tailbone, that's as bad as going the other way. So it's just, again, underneath the shoulder sockets, and just lower yourself down, almost squat in there, but it's comfortable here, there's no tension in the body. The way to do that is look in the mirror, watch yourself do it, and check yourself. You might find it, do it for 5 goes at a time. It might take you 3 or 4 times to get that right off with 5 goes, with 5 repetitions, but don't stand there for 20 minutes. You're just going to get tight and you're not going to find the position. So having got that, we then want to talk about the face-on angles. Now, as I grip the club, a couple of things happen in my body. If we played golf and grips it right in the middle, everything will be level with the ground and I'll be in balance. What happens is this hand goes lower down. As this hand goes lower down, it turns me slightly and it moves the club opposite my left shoulder or emblem of my shirt. I'm twisted slightly. So now what we do, if I line up there and grip the club, having gripped the club and bend forward, as we've just done from the hip sockets, I lower myself from my hip sockets, my elbows are opposite my hips, the ball's off the collar of my shirt, but my balance is up around my chest at the moment. What we're now going to do is widen our feet to get the balance down to the navel. The best way of doing this is to move the left knee and foot forward and the right foot only back. What you'll notice, that will give me an angle. So my left knee's higher than my right and my left hip's higher than my right. Not as much as my shoulders, but it's slightly higher. If you like acronyms for that, we can think of the word yak or the letters yak. Y is here. As I bend, as I grip the club, I've got my Y. I'm bending forward from the hips. My elbows are opposite my hips. The ball's off the collar of my shirt, or the club's on the collar of my shirt. That's a Y. As I widen my feet, left foot and knee forward, right foot back. If you took a line from my shoelace, each shoelace to the label in my shirt, that would be a balanced outline of the letter A. If you then took a line across my knee and across my hip, that would be the fill-in, the crossbar of the A. What you'll also notice, if I take that away, we've got like a K position, a reverse K italicized. If you took a line from my ankle, through my hip and into my shoulder, you've got a slight angle. It's not a vertical line, it's a slight angled line going this way. If you took a line from my ankle here to my hip, and from my hip to my shoulder, that's the kicking part of the K. So it's a reversed italicized K. So if you think of the term yak, there's the Y, elbows opposite the hips, ball off the collar of the shirt. As I widen my feet, I've got the K and the A and the K. So it's Y, A, K, yak. Now, checkpoints on this. If you do that properly, what you'll find is, if you drew a line down from your knee or put a shaft there, there's not much gap here between my foot and the end of that grip. But this side, it's almost twice, 3 times as much. What a lot of people do wrong is they stay in this twisted position. So now as they widen their feet, they widen and balance out here, so you're now level with the ground. Now your A's offline, and B, not only is your A offline, as you go to swing, you're going to move out of balance straight away. So make sure as you stand there, you get your yak position properly. You're not standing in a box. The A's not over here. You've not leveled out. You're just in that position. The other thing to watch is there's a tip on one of the golf stations, should we say, that if you put the club under your chin and you tilt to your right until that club touches your left knee, that gets you in the perfect address position. As you can see there, I'm leaning over here too much. My head, or your head, weighs more than the bowling ball. If you want to try and get through the ball with a bowling ball back here, all the best. I think you'll find it's much easier by just keeping that A position. There's a checkpoint for your ball position. Imagine that's my ball. If I line up, there's my Y, there's my A, and there's my K. If I lift the club up, I can put the club on the collar of my shirt or over the emblem of my shirt. If you're in the wrong position and try and do that, you can knight yourself, but it's not really going to help you hit the golf ball. So now we've got those 2 angles. It's a very, very important. Again, I suggest you work in front of the mirror. 90% of the golf shot is how good you stand, how good you do those angles. And it's not how you feel on the day, it's how good the alignments are. Why a tour player looks consistent is because he'll stand in a position that hits the ball, he works from the ball tells him whether he's doing it right or wrong, not feel. There's a saying in golf, feel's not real, and that's a very true statement. So understand these alignments and practice these alignments. When you first do it, and it's important to look in the mirror because, as I say, you'll recruit muscles that you always use, and they're not necessarily muscles you want to use. You have to train yourself to recruit the correct muscles to make this happen. The way to do it is stand in front of a mirror. If it's our address routine, you take your address, look in the mirror and check. If you're in a good position, fine. If you're not, you just do 5 of those and check. If you're not, what you need to do is look in the mirror and watch yourself do it. So you start to train the nervous systems, telling which muscles to go. All muscles are thought forces. You have to train them what to do. So you start recruiting the correct muscles, not the wrong muscles. So first of all, you stand there, you make yourself go in the right position, recruiting the muscles, then you look down. See how that looks different. Use your eyes, use your senses. Once you've done that, you address it again without looking in the mirror. Check in the mirror. If there's something not quite right, tweak it, check it again, then go back, watch yourself again. Once that's right, then walk over it, do it again until you can do it. But again, sets of 5. It might take you 5, 10, 50 sessions, it doesn't matter. Practice it that way so you learn it. Don't stand there for 20 minutes, all you're going to do is get tight and you're not learning it. From the side on angle, you might want to practice this first of all, to get the feel of that bending, or this. To get the feel of bending, make sure it's correct. Once you've got that, you can then go on and do this in an address routine, which we're going to cover now. So the address routine is quite simple. If you watch golf on TV, most tour players will line up with the Y or the top half first. It might be right foot forward, it might be feet touching, it might be standing up at the bar, but it's always the top half first. And then they widen their feet. Why do they do that? The top half gives you alignment and distance from the ball. If I was going that way, it gives my alignment, my distance from the ball. My bottom half gives me my balance. Alignment and distance, balance. Most amateurs line up something like this. I've read the book, everything's got to be level with the old railway track, and then they put the club down where the ball is. Wrong distance, bad alignment. Over this way, they get it all lined up to where they want to go. Put the club down, wrong distance, bad alignment. So what we're going to do here is just go through the routine, get ourselves lined up properly. So we have the ball, got our grip, and what we're going to do is hold the club, we stood up straight, and then just ease the club down so it's about shin high. There's almost like a triangle from my bottom of my spine to my shoulder down to the butt of the grip, and an invisible line here. That gives me my triangle. Everyone's different. Don't worry about one fist or anything like that. Just find out where you are, because if you've got long legs and short arms, you're going to be different from someone who's got long arms, short legs. So we just set ourselves up here, and all we do is do that bend forward from the hips. Literally this drill. It's about shin high, bend forward from the hip. That's one. And then two is the feet for balance. So it's one, the wide bending from the hips. Elbows opposite the shirt, elbows opposite the hips, ball off the collar of the shirt, widen the feet for balance. There's the K. How do we know we're in balance? Our balance is around our navel. It's gone from our chest to our navel. Do that over here. One, you bend to get the shaft angle, and two, the feet for balance. One, the wide, bending from the hips, tailbone high. Two, the feet for balance. One, the wide, bending from the hips, tailbone high, distance from the ball. Two, the feet for balance. So I'm giving that numbers. One, wide, bending from the hips, elbows opposite the hips, ball off the collar of shirt. Two, the feet for balance. So it's 1, 2. At the moment, think of it in those angles. As you progress and that's comfortable, you can think of it as 1, alignment and distance from the ball. 2, the feet for balance. As you progress, 1, alignment, 2, distance from the 1, alignment and distance from the ball, 2 feet for balance. So it's just a progression all the time, going through that. But it's key that you get those angles, because without those angles you can't swing the club.